Hello and welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. I am your host, Andy Asimakis, on this rainy day. It's sad, depressing, lonely outside. It's a very fitting atmosphere for the game we're about to discuss. And joining us this week is Pietro De Grandi, head of Strelka Games and developer of Hell is Others, a roguelike shooter set in the city where blood and bullets our currency. Pietro, welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. All good here. Yes, like the weather you're describing sounds really like matchy with the game atmosphere. That's for sure.
Now, I couldn't help but take a peek at your LinkedIn page because I do a little bit of research when it comes to guests on the show, and I have a question for you. How does one go from a Red Bull event car driver to making video games? How does that transition in your
That's
career?
actually that's actually a good question. I think it's smoother than you can imagine.
Really?
Basically, my background is in business, so I have a business management master's
Mhm.
degree, and I started working in Red Bull while at university while studying. I was so-called student brand manager there, and so I started my career at Red Bull in the marketing, let's say, field marketing side of things.
Mhm.
And as I progressed, I ended up in events more and more. And then I was managing one of the event show car, and then I was working on big events. But at one point, I was willing to change, like industry. I was willing to see and work with new different things. So I kind of pivoted to a more startup
Mhm.
environment. So I
Mhm.
started working as operation manager on e-commerce, basically. So it was an e-commerce that was selling Italian craftsmanships. Um, and then I changed again after a couple of years and I started working at a company that owns basically Strelka Games.
Mhm.
That it's a web design agency. Now it was a web design agency. Now it's more a digital product agency. And I started as a CTO, so I was the money guy, the
The
management
money
guy.
guy.
And then
Got it.
while working there, we started thinking about creating our own product, and we started messing around with games. We are all like games lover. I always been a gamer since I was little kid. Always had like my first thing I think was Game Gear.
Oh my
Then
god, Game
yeah,
Gear.
yeah, I'm kind of old. And
No,
yeah,
no,
I started.
I got a Game Gear when I was like
Yeah,
8 years old for Christmas. So I think
yeah,
maybe
so
about the same age as you are, maybe a little bit.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I was, I think, like 6 years old, something like that. But yeah, so I started playing. To be fair, on like ABM 486,
Mhm.
the first time, then the Game Gear, and then I took it from there. But yeah, so we started thinking about doing our products. So we started messing around with some games. We done like a mobile game, like on the evenings, and then we decided, okay, let's take it seriously. Let's build a business around here. Let's build a team, and then it's when we started thinking about making video games as a job.
Wow.
uh, and we are still in the process. So it's the team is there since 2017, I would say. So it's been a few years. We published a couple of things, but it's still a small team. We are still aiming to have our first big proper production. That is Hell is Others. So
Mhm.
that's what we. I think it's our main and biggest and proper game. Like,
Yeah.
everything we've done so far was in preparation of
Mhm.
this game.
Yeah, so just to jump into Hell is Others, I came
Yeah.
across this trailer on YouTube one day many months ago, and I was caught off guard by two things. One, by how incredible it looked. Um, you know, it's essentially Hotline Miami with guns and demons and all that fun stuff. And the second thing was how much people responded to it. Like there was a lot of love I saw in the comment section, and people were like excited about it. What was that like for you when you put this as your first major project, showing it to the world and seeing this incredible feedback coming from gamers?
Yeah, but first of all, thanks for the nice and kind words. I do think the game looks very, very interesting. It's a pixel art game, a top-down
Mhm,
2D game, and we started working on it uh, probably 3, 4 years ago. Then we stopped the project in pre-production. We went
mhm,
on with other things that we needed to gather more experience on what we are doing, and then we went into production last year again. But we knew that in order to be successful, a 2D pixel art game has, like in 2021, have to be uh, amazing, like have to be very, very good looking and beautiful. So we started with that concept and we worked a lot on the graphic and on the art side. And I have to say the team did a great job with it. We still are, it's still a work in progress. We still miss a lot of visual effects and more
mhm.
wow effects here and there, but the game looks very good in my honest opinion. But yeah, and as you said, there was a great response. Um, it didn't cut us totally off guard because of course, when you do something and you have it in your little office, you don't know how people will react to it.
Mhm.
Uh, but we showed the game on in public events and around, so we had the feeling that we were doing something very interesting on a visual side. So like it looks interesting and it gathered
Mhm.
attention even like in big international events and stuff. So we knew that it could be
Mhm.
that kind of game, but at the same time we were surprised that so many people reached out, not even like just the comments or on the Discord channel, but even via like email or
Wow.
publisher that we knew
Mhm.
from previous experiences or previous meetings that when we released the page on Steam, started to write back to us like, okay, are you still willing to have a publisher? Let's talk
Ah.
about it. Or like a lot of very interesting things happened since we launched the page, and that's mainly thanks to the trailer. But I think it's well made. It doesn't show the game, doesn't tells you what the game is, but it gives you the vibe of the game, the
Mhm.
atmosphere, and that I think we've done it
Yeah,
well.
because that trailer, it pulls you in visually, and you get a little glimpse of the gameplay loop, that top down
Yeah,
shooting mechanics. But then as you do a little homework and do some reading on the game, there's elements like bullets are naturally occurring in nature and you can farm them, and
yeah,
blood is the main currency for the game. Talk a little bit about those systems and how those work into
yeah.
the overall gameplay.
So I'll try to be as concise, like as short as I can. But yeah, basically the game it's a mix of different things. I could say that it's a mix between Stardew Valley and Escape from Tarkov, in a sense that the game loop is similar to what is Escape from Tarkov or Hunt Showdown is. So you have
Mhm,
your home, it's your safe place. You manage your things, your objects, your loots, your items, all the farming side. Even the main mission, like the primary missions, are managed at home. And there are a lot of aspects you do at home by yourself, and you can also personalize moving furniture around, and even both from an aesthetic side of things, so you can just mess around with different wallpapers, but also it's functional, so you can buy different furniture to do different stuff.
oh wow, okay, that's pretty neat.
And Yeah, like from wardrobes to store things to more useful things like vases to plant your
Mhm.
plants and things like that. And then you have needs. So you have to go outside and go to the city to buy stuff, to complete some mission or whatever you will need to do. You have to do it in the city. And when you call the elevator to go to the city, that's when a match is created. You don't know how many other people will be in the match. You know that there will be, but it's not like it's a 5 players match. The
Mhm.
game is actually, I'm spoiling it, but the game it's actually works between 4 and 10 players right now.
Ooh, okay.
But you don't know how many. So it could be 10, could be 8, could be 4. You don't know it. And then when you arrive in the city, you have 10 minutes to do whatever you need to do and go back safely, like alive at home. So you have a
Mhm.
spawn, you do your things, and you go back to the spawns. If you die in the city because you can be killed from a monster or from another player, you lose what you're carrying with you, and you find yourself back at home. And so that's the main loop. And why and there are more things, but I'm cutting like to the core. But
Right,
you can
right, right.
also like you can have benedictions that allows you to respawn in the same match and go back and try to gather your stuff back, for example. So you have to
Mhm.
make donations to the church if you want to have benedictions. And again, all the game, all the progression goes through objects that you have to buy in different shops and so on. Why is blood important? For a lot of reasons. So blood is the main, more than the currency, I would say the main resource of the game, because
Mhm.
you'll need the blood for the farming, so to give to your plants to make your plants grow. You can go to the bank and sell bloods in exchange of money that you can use to buy things. You will need the blood to expand your home. You will need blood to go from one day to another. So to progress in the game is based on days. So Monday the first or whatever. But if you want to go from one day to another, in order to go to sleep, you will have to have your bonsai that is connected to the lore of the game watered with blood. So you'll need blood basically for a lot of things. And yeah, and the farming side is interesting too, because bullets are organic seeds that you can find around the city, baseline bullets, find like in the parks. So there are plants that you can find around that has bullets in it, and you can plant them at home, water them with blood. You can also add fertilizers. So there are different kind of fertilizers around. You can loot them, but you can also use monster parts as fertilizer. So when you kill a monster, you have the chance to gather a part from it and use it as a fertilizer. And what it means is that you can give to the bullets different characteristics. For example, the exploding characteristic, or the bouncing, or more damage, or the silencer. And then you mix it together as you prefer. You farm your plant, and then you can harvest the plant and have your particular custom bullets that you've made with different kind of fertilizers. And that's something kind of unique and interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I was already sold on the graphics alone and just the gunplay. Like I would have enjoyed this game if it was just that alone because it looks so much fun to play. But as you're talking about using monster parts for fertilizer and you're watering plants with blood and the whole other player aspect to this thing, it sounds like there's so much more depth in here that
Yeah,
I had no idea even existed until five
it's
minutes ago.
yeah. One of the challenge that we have, especially on the marketing side, is to let player or people know what the game is and how deep the game is, because of course it is again a 2D pixel art game, and
Mhm,
you don't usually, there are exceptions, but you don't usually expect like a very deep game.
mhm.
But on the other side, the game is deep. It has a lot of different mechanics. Again, there's also like two different, would say, kind of like primary missions that are linked to the lore, and it's like the story. But there are also NPCs in the city that ask you uh, to lend them money, so you can farm money by giving them, like lending money to them. and then they will need help, let's say, uh, to make them money worth. And so when you go back to them and say, okay, where's my money plus my interest? Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't have it, and they ask you to make them a favor to gather back your money or stuff like that. So it's not like the game has a linear story. You can go to the city how many times you want, even if you don't follow the story. But there is also that kind of progression, and there are a lot of aspects in the game. We are trying to make it work very well together. But yes, it's kind of we are aiming to build an interesting and very like a deep game, and then build on it. So we are just on the baseline game, and then if it will be successful enough, we will want to build on it with more content and more
How,
things.
how does the player and player interaction work? So I'm in this world, I'm running around shooting demons, and another player is near me. Would it make more sense to work with them, or should I just automatically go for the kill and try to loot their dead body for my own to my own
Yeah, that's
end?
a that's a good question. But as the game it is right now, the game is based on the gameplay is based on tension. So
Mm,
when you are in the city, you are kind of scared about other players because basically there's no way at the moment. But it's something that it's meant to be like this. It could change with all the feedback that we are gathering, but at the moment, it's there's no way for you to communicate with other
mm,
players at the moment. So usually you see someone, you're scared, you shoot. It's
mhm,
difficult. It's difficult to give another player the chance to, I don't know, just pass through a way and you just looking. It could be that if you know that he doesn't notice you, you could just try to, avoid him.
mhm,
Uh, but I think that as the game is, you would like to you don't trust anyone, but let's
mhm,
say like this. So you are always or scared about other players because you don't want to lose your things, or you are hunting other players, so
mm,
you want their things. We will work in a few months, not now, but may probably during early access, on a few interesting things on multiplayer. So like some co-op mechanisms, so you can play with a friend, or some in-game co-op mechanisms. So maybe just now I'm just thinking about the future. It's not something we have planned, but maybe create
right.
some situations in which players has to collaborate if they want to stay alive. But yeah, mainly now it's like you don't trust anyone and you shoot everything that moves, or you run away from everything that moves.
As you're watching the game and others sort of play testing and giving you feedback, do you find players are more willing to actively hunt down other players, or are they trying to avoid them and maybe I'm better off not
Uh,
being seen by this other human player?
yeah, it really depends on the players and on the stage in which they are. At the beginning, you just try to stay alive. You want to loot a lot the city, so you go around, loot the city, and try to be stealthy. So you don't
Mhm,
want people to find you because you don't have like you just started playing, so you don't have maybe like interesting weapons. You don't have cool bullets. You're just trying to gather a little bit of money and what you find around. So you don't have a lot of chance to survive in a fight. Uh, but when you start to have like a good weapon or some medkits, so when you feel more confident, then is when players start to look for other players to kill.
mhm.
But it also depends on the player attitude. There are some players that jump in and they go straight to fight and they try to fight everyone, and there are players that are always looting around, trying to avoid everyone. The game really fits different play styles. The gameplay is based on the senses of the character, so you have like a sight of cone of sight. uh, you have your hearing, So all the sounds are visualized, and you can really rely on your hearing. And you also have the smell, so you can feel blood around, so you can feel other players too if they are
Wow.
carrying blood with them. So you can mix it up and try to avoid or find players with your senses that you can also boost. So you can eat, drink, or take pills to boost or buff like your all your sense or your strength or your stamina. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like at a certain point, I would just go around killing people in that game. Like I would just exclusively,
yeah,
once I've had a certain amount of power ups of the best gear, I would just, all right, I'm done killing demons. I'm just gonna go hunt people.
yeah. That's how it works. As long as you stay alive. Like I usually feel like that. Like so, as soon as I have all of my things, okay, let's kill people. But then I find very skilled players that kills me because I'm not very good at game. So okay, and they start again. Okay, let's
Wh-
start avoiding people again.
what is the character progression like in terms of upgrades that are permanent? Let's say because in a roguelike, it's all about what can you take, what stays with you after you die, what makes you want to keep playing
Yeah.
because you're not stripped of everything. So what do you keep when you die in a run? What carries over? What can you upgrade that stays with you throughout the entire experience?
Yeah. So your house, sorry, the hub is consistent. So what you do that if you expand it, if you buy new furniture, all the objects, the items that you have at home are always safe.
Hmm.
And that's the main thing. Then, for example, money. So when you are in the city and you make some money, you can deposit money to a bank. So there are 3 banks in the map. So you can go to the bank, deposit your money, and then you know that your money are safe, are always safe in your bank. You have also interest rates at the bank. That's another thing. And
Okay.
you can then go to an ATM. There are a lot of ATMs in the city to withdraw money if you need money to buy something.
Do they charge a
Um,
fee with like a ATM fee?
not at the moment, but it could well be. So it's also interesting idea. So you are more willing. So you have to choose. Do
Hmm.
I want to pay the service to use the
Hmm.
ATM, or I just want to keep my money in the pocket and risk it? It's
Hmm.
risky, but it's less. It's more cost efficient. It's interesting.
Right.
And yes, so all the like the money in the bank, it's safe. The mission system is also something that helps you to progress. So if you have a task that asks you to, I don't know, do 4 things and you've done 2 and you die, that those 2 things you've done, like they are done. So they are
Okay.
there. You don't have to
That's good.
start again. So all the missions and the progress of primary, secondary missions still are there. The progression of the city itself, like for the shops, stays. So the more you buy into a shop, the more slots of items the shop will have, and the
Mm.
more good items it will have. And that's also something that is consistent through the game. So it's something you don't lose. And finally, there is another thing that we implemented recently to help the progression of the game. That is that every time you go back home, dead or alive, you will have stains of blood on your shirt that you can squeeze, and you can take blood out of your
Oh wow.
shirt. So that's basically, so even if you go in the city, and the amount of blood that you have on your shirt depends on a few factors, like when you hit something, where you are hit by something, or for the bullets, or when you die.
Hmm.
So if you go in the city, you manage to stay alive a while, kill a couple of monsters, then you die because someone kills you. You find yourself at home, but at least you have certain amount of blood that you were like you brought back home. So even if you are not a great player at the beginning and you die a lot, you can still have blood, like collect blood, and so that helps you in the progression of the game.
So you could be absolute dog shit at the game and still walk away with
Yeah,
something at the end of,
yeah. Still,
of a
still,
run.
still, like yeah,
Uh,
still like slowly
it's
progress
it's
through the
good for
game.
someone like me because I feel my biggest challenge will be overcoming other players because when you introduce a human element to a game, I just feel like I can't compete with anyone. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
Knowing that I can squeeze the blood out of my t-shirt and have some benefit to dying in a sense,
yeah,
that's kind of nice
because
to know.
yeah, we realized in our playtest that it was very frustrating for players, like beginners players. So it's both a fact of balancing the matchmaking, of course, that now it's not balanced. We have 30 players and they all play together. We don't have like a matchmaking based on their level.
Hmm.
There are not like we need more players to do that. At the moment, there's no such system, and also it's a matter of balancing the stealth or on the other side, I don't know, ramble way to do things. So the senses are now are kind of well balanced. So you manage to escape, but it's always difficult to balance everything out, and it can lend to frustration if you go in a match and you die again. You play 2 hours dying, and you're always at the starting point. So we introduced this thing that we still have to test it on players, but I think it will help a lot.
So, how did the world get this way to a point where we're going on missions and blood is a major resource to live and to survive, and there's demons all over the place?
Yeah.
How do we get here?
Yes, that's an interesting question linked to the lore of the game. But what I can say is that the word is like that. That's the word of the game. It's not that it was our word that
Mm,
becomes that
okay.
word. That's what. But by playing all the lore or the all the narrative aspect of the game makes you think about this topic and makes you think and gives you the chance to. So you're basically undecided. So is it a word like that, or is the character that is crazy and is the mind of the character that goes crazy and
Oh
create these
boy.
words, or is actually living in a world that it works in that way, or what is happening here? What's this? It's my demons, so it's something inside me, my representation of my demons, or it's a demoniac like world in which I am playing. So we play a lot with this topic,
Oh,
let's
I
say. So
love it.
you
Now
will
it's
have to,
philosophical too.
yeah, there is a lot of philosophical thought under the lore, like behind the lore of the world and of the game. We have different narrative, uh, how do you say, like things in the game. So it's missions, but there are also NPCs, and there are also furnitures that talks to you. That
Furniture
gives
that
you,
talks to you. Is that what you just said?
yeah, yeah. I said it. I said it. That's actually a fun fact.
It's like a
So
Pee Wee's
we
Playhouse, but it's set in hell.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. So that's a fun fact about the game. So we implemented the dialogue system in the
Mhm.
game, and the developer, the programmer, had to put it somewhere to test it. So he, as a joke, he put it on the fridge, and it happened that we left it there at one of our playtests with players from the community, and they loved it. Like, oh, it's so amazing! I can talk to the fridge. So hold on, what? That is super cool. Great idea. So we should do it. And now like everything, like the primary mission, the primary story is told by like with these furnitures that are talking to you in different ways and you don't even know which one to trust. So they are like family, like the fridge is more like your mom and the wardrobe is more like your dad, and they say different things. So it's interesting. We are working right now with two writers
Uh,
on all these things. So but yes, it's very philosophical. It's easy. It's like a game you jump in and you play, but also has a depth on the story, on the lore, on the
right.
world that is created, and yeah,
Yeah, I feel like demons are the least of your issues if your refrigerator is talking to you.
yeah.
Um, Walk us through a typical mission. How do they get assigned to you? What kind of things are you asked to do in this world to get by?
Yeah. So at the moment, because it's a work in progress, but we have three layers of mission, like three different kind of missions. There is the fetch one that is the most easy, that the one we already implemented in the game. So it's basically you are asked to gather something and bring it back. And this could be done like in some easy way. So please take me back an object. You go, you find it, and you go back. But it could be also done on more levels. So please go to that NPC, ask something to him, help him out with his problems, and then he will give you the object to gather back.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is lending money, as I said. So it begins with you helping a guy that lends money to other people, and then you will be able to lend money yourself to other people. It's like
Mm.
loaning shark
A loan shark, yeah.
loan
Mm-hmm.
shark. Yeah. Um, and then there is also the slay, what we call the slay mission. So it's you're asked to kill someone or to clear an area of monsters, and yeah, pretty much that kind of things in the slay one. And then we are working on combining all these things in more long missions. So primary missions are, again, I told, I asked you buy furnitures in your house,
Mm-hmm.
and they have usually a time limit, so you will need to do them in a certain amount of time, or not, it depends. um, you have a journal in which you keep everything, like every mission, active missions, primary, secondary, whatever, and then you can do your stuff. But I really struggle to go on more depth on it because it's something that we are working on right now. So it's not even tested on players on everything. We have the mission system in place, but they are just vanilla missions now. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't very really give us a feedback if we are on the right path. But that's what we are working on.
Who is giving you the missions? Is it the refrigerator that's giving you missions, or who
Yeah,
is? How are you
yeah,
being
yeah.
assigned these things to do?
Yeah, there are these furnitures that literally talk to you. So hey, come here, and you. It's actually
Hey, go
not the
kill this
refrigerator. So
guy.
yeah, yeah. So it's actually more complex than that. So once you open the refrigerator, if you open it as a mission giver,
Uh-huh.
there will be like a void in it, a big void in it that talks to you. And so even if
Naturally.
you go to
Uh-huh.
the wardrobe, there is another void, differently, aesthetically different void, but still a void that talks to you. And there is also a big void in the house, on the wall of the house. That is another thing. So it's all made with these voids that are inside the furniture.
Oh my god, this just sounds so unbelievably spectacular. So
Thank you.
what is the game plan? I think you guys are pushing for an early access at some point this year to get it in people's hands.
Yeah.
How is that coming along for you guys?
So the plan is to go on early access in autumn.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but of course, we are a small indie team that is trying to aim for something big, or at least ambitious. So yes, I can't say a date or a month,
Mm-hmm.
but we are aiming for autumn. I think it's feasible now. We are a good point. We have all the features. We need to polish everything and test a lot. Still test a lot. We are opening our test to more players when we will do a beta test, a beta test. So we really value the feedback of the players. So we want to make sure that the game is fun and it
Mm-hmm.
works well before going early access. So our goal, but still, our goal is Q3. I would say the end of
Mm-hmm.
Q3, maybe beginning of Q4.
Okay, so not too far from
Yeah.
now, which is good.
Yeah, no, not too far.
I don't gotta wait
We
that
are
long.
also we are also talking with publisher that are, as I said before, like they are coming back in the picture, and so it could land if we decide to make a deal with some publisher. It could land in some delay, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be probably great for the game because we are aiming to have a few more months to better polish and have a better early access version of the game, basically.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Is the goal to eventually get this thing on consoles too after it's
yeah,
on Steam?
yeah, no, absolutely. So we are aiming to have early access that can go, I think, uh, something between 6 months and a year, depending on how well it will go. And then the plan is to publish the game on all the consoles, like on the
Mhm.
primary consoles, let's say the classic consoles, so
Mhm.
Xbox, PlayStation, and
Right.
Nintendo Switch.
What do you think makes a memorable roguelike game? Because we've seen games like Hades making a huge splash, winning so many Game of the Year awards, and then recently Returnal came out, another stellar example of a roguelike done really well. What core elements do you think make a successful and a memorable roguelike game?
I think that a combination of gameplay, so the gameplay has to be very solid, and a well balanced progression.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to be a success, and by successful in this specific topic, I'm talking about economically successful. So, I have a lot of players playing the game. I think it has to be accessible. So,
Mm-hmm.
having to our core game on that sense uh, could be risky. But I do like more hardcore roguelike games. But if you
Mm-hmm.
look at the successful roguelike games in the last few years, they are more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, that's a key. Of course, Hades, it's very, very well produced. So every
Mm-hmm.
aspect of that game, it's perfectly nailed. There is a nice story, everything matched together. The gameplay is amazing. The visual is very good. So yeah, but basically, I think that the key, if you don't have a very good gameplay and a fairly balanced progression, you're not gonna make it
Mm-hmm.
on the genre.
And I think also, even in your case, especially having this very detailed and twisted world as the backdrop to the whole
Yeah,
experience, it adds so
yeah,
much, another layer to the whole thing entirely. Because just describing the game's world and its setting is enough to
yeah,
get most players' foot in the door, I
yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
Plus,
That's
plus,
right.
you don't see a lot of like PvP in a roguelike,
Yeah,
which is a
that's
nice
a
element.
challenge. That's a
Yeah.
bet. Let's see how it will work out. But yes, for sure, like having a detailed world with a lot of uh, elements, characters that helps you build different storylines and things like that will help a lot. Hades does it very well. All
Mm-hmm.
the different characters that there are that talks to you, but like the lore of Hades is very well made. All the
Mm-hmm.
scripts are very well made, and that helps too. So yes, it's a mix of different things. In the end, what makes a good game? It's a good gameplay and a good execution of every aspect
Mm-hmm.
of the game, I would say. We are aiming to have a good gameplay and a good depth in the game lore
Right.
and mechanics. So
Right. And you can
that's
tell by looking at a game like Hell is Others, even just from the artistic standpoint, that a lot of heart was put into this game. Like each sprite, you can tell is a lot of love and care is going into this project.
yeah, yeah. I have to say, like the art people are amazing, and yes, as you said, we started with that in mind. We want to do the game that we would like to play, and yeah, we started building the game like by hand. So all the art is handmade, all
Mm-hmm.
the animations are handmade. There's no assets there. There's no easy way to do it. And yes, we care as a team, and of course, even the art people, there are just two persons
Oh
basically.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, there is like the concept artist that is also that do all the first hand pixel art, and then there is Francesca is the pixel artist that takes everything and go back by hand and make everything looks even better. And then there is the art director of the game that decide which way to go. And yes, this is satisfying. This is not. Let's work on this, on that. But mainly, like the work is made by two people. Yeah.
That's totally insane. All right, Pietro, it's time for some fun, rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you ready
I'm
for this?
ready. Yep.
Uh, I think the first thing I want to ask you is if you were in this world, if you woke up one day to this nightmare, how long do you think you would last?
Probably, I don't know, 10 minutes, a couple of hours. I would be too scared to live in a world like that.
um, let's see here. If you had a time machine that could only go either forwards in time or backwards in time, which way would you choose?
That's a tough one. Because I love history. I love like history, but at the same time, history is known. So I would go forward, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you woke up one day and went into your kitchen and your fridge started to talk to you, what was the first thing it would say?
Help! I'm going out of my mind. Let's call it dump and throw away this fridge. I don't know. Like, or maybe I would try to establish a conversation. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe the fridge are cool people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would be scared for sure. Like maybe, what did I drink yesterday?
Yeah, I think a fridge is a really would make for really cool people. Would you rather invent something new or discover something new?
Uh, I would say discover, but just because I'm not very good at inventing things.
Mm.
So I'm sure that if I discover something that could be good, if I invent something, it's probably not very good. So I rather discover something. Yeah.
What is something that you're terrible at that you wish you could do better?
Everything linked to art things like drawing, like
Mm-hmm.
even game design. Like I'm like, yeah, I don't have, oh, at least I don't have as much as I would like to have um, of, I say, creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have more creativity. It's not like I don't have it, but I would love to have more, and that
Mm-hmm.
being better at, yeah, creating things.
Right. Um, Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No, that's a crime.
There it
I'm
is.
Italian, man.
Yeah, it
I'm
is. Yeah.
Italian. You can't do
it. Thank you. um, would you rather have the power of flight or invisibility?
Invisibility.
Mm, good. That's going to lead to a nice little follow up question. Let's say one of your teammates or a spouse or a partner got a phone call that you've just been arrested for committing a crime. What crime did you just commit, Pietro?
Huh. That's interesting. We probably speeding with the car. Can
Okay.
you ever be arrested for that? Maybe not.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
it depends is like where you're speeding and how fast you're going and
yeah,
is it
yeah,
like
probably speeding or doing something on that side, like maybe jumping from like a bridge with that I was not allowed to be on, or hiking on a closed like thing. Yeah, because I'm
right.
really, I have to say, I'm really not, I don't break the law very often, but when I do
I
it,
would
it's
hope not.
but I would do it like
All
for
right.
those kind of things,
So
probably like,
trespassing is what I'm getting.
yeah,
Being
trespassing,
someplace
or
you shouldn't be in,
yeah, or
or
but probably speeding is the first thing I would do,
or
like
fulfilling a
the
Fast and
most,
Furious kind of
yeah,
fantasy.
the most probable thing.
What is the dumbest way you've ever hurt yourself?
Well, I mean, like I hurt myself in so many dumb ways.
Of course,
I
yes,
just
this is
have
why.
to pick one, but
Mhm.
probably, oh yes, that's a good one. So I was riding a bike with my friends. We were going to have some drinks before going to a music concert,
Mhm.
and we were three friends with three bikes, and one of our friends was ahead of us. So our two friends, so me and my other friend, decided to surround him and give him a little pat on the head, like to scare him.
Okay.
So we surrounded him. I gave him a little pat on the shoulder, and
Sure.
he was so scared that he like went into directly into me. I lost my balance, and to gather my balance back, I put my left leg out of the bike and right inside his wheel, and it ended up like he went down with the bike, I went down with the bike, he broke the wheel of the bike, and I broke my feet,
Oh my
my foot,
god.
sorry.
Oh my
So
god.
I got a broken foot by trying to, be nice, be funny, and make a joke at my friend. It ended up with my foot broke.
I, were
That was
you
dumb.
were you fairly young when that happened? How do you explain that to your parents? Like
I was old enough that I
old
had.
enough.
I don't, yeah, it was like 5 years ago. I was probably
Oh, oh,
31
so
or
it's really
34.
recently.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, but let me think about it. It was 3, 4 years ago. So
Oh
probably I
my
was over
god.
30. Yeah,
That's
I'm not proud of
hilarious.
it. Not proud of it. But thank you for asking.
um, is cereal a soup?
Cereal.
When you're pouring milk over a bowl of fresh cereal, be it a Special K or a Rice Krispies or a Raisin Bran, is that now considered a soup or is it just stupid cereal?
Huh. That's also interesting. I would say cereal
Mm-hmm.
still.
Mm-hmm. 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 Good answer.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. What was one video game that really stood out to you as a child that maybe you said to yourself, I want to maybe make these one day or be involved in these in some capacity?
There are, of course, a lot. One of the first video games that make me feel like, wow, it's not just a game. It's probably Deus Ex was the
Mm,
first one, Deus Ex.
good one. Yeah.
Uh, Probably. But yeah, like I played a lot, like a lot of games in my teens, and yes, but probably that was one of the first. I also like I love motorsports, so I played a lot of like car games. But yeah, like probably Deus Ex was the first time I say,
Mhm.
wow, games could be more than just games,
Mhm.
something like that. But also Diablo or Morrowind, so the Elder Scrolls, all the games,
Mhm.
or I'm trying to go back in time. So the first games I remember, like cool games, was like a game called Prehistoric,
Mhm.
played on MS DOS, or like California games
Oh
or
yeah.
Winter Olympics. Those kind of games were like the first games I felt in love with. But yeah, that was just games, let's say.
Those are some great picks. I mean, Deus Ex especially.
Yeah,
I really miss that franchise. I hope they bring it back at some point.
yeah,
It's been too
yeah.
long. It's been too long.
It's the
I did want to ask you, as someone who also owned a Game Gear growing up, how do your parents afford buying you all those batteries?
I was playing with the like wire always. There was
Okay.
no way it was portable. That thing it was called a portable gaming system, but it was
Right.
not.
Right. Because I remember I had first gotten a Game Gear for Christmas from my godmother, but it was just the Game Gear, and it was with Mortal Kombat 2 and I think Joe Madden's football. Uh,
Yeah.
which what or Joe Montana's football. Yeah, I don't know sports people. Um, and I didn't have like a adapter for it, so
Oh,
I would go into the dollar store and just steal packs of batteries so I
yeah,
could
like
play my
to
Game
play
Gear.
half an hour stints because
Right.
that was it was working for half an hour,
Mm-hmm.
not like
Yeah.
maybe a 1 hour. I'm not sure with six batteries. Like it was it was good, not even for a road trip.
Yeah. And then I would also take change from my mom's like little laundry supply of money, like quarters, to also buy batteries. And then at one point she was like, "Listen, you can't keep taking my money for batteries." So she would find batteries all over the entire house, like under the bed, in the kitchen, behind every little crevice.
Yeah.
So she finally bought us like that. It was a battery pack you could charge and screw into the back of the Game Gear,
Wow, that
and an
was
actual like
advanced.
AC adapter. So you could have a
I was
portable charge and then charge it up.
yeah,
And
yeah. What's I didn't have it. I just had the adapter and I was just playing uh, wired to the wall. Yeah.
let's see. When you're getting dressed and you're going about your day thinking about how there's others and how it's going to be a huge success and make you a very wealthy man to buy all the Game Gear batteries you could ever imagine, and you're getting dressed and you have your socks and your shoes next to you, do you put them on sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
No, I always put my socks before the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so both socks and then both
Because
shoes.
you're not a psychopath. That's
That's I'm not sure, but that's how I do. I put on my shoes.
I mean, listen, anybody that works in game development has to be a little bit nutty because I've
Yeah.
heard so many stories and the amount of work that goes into making a game. And as an indie dev, especially, it's
Yeah.
you have to have to make such a huge splash and stand out because there's just so many things. Like
Yeah.
I come across games that came out years ago that have like this huge fan base, and I'm like, I've never even heard of this game before.
Yes, or there are very like well-made games that nobody played, and I maybe discovered like it's my job. So sometimes I'm just browsing around categories and games, and you find these very well-made games from 5 years ago that sold probably 1,000 copies, and it
Mhm,
costed maybe $300,000, and you say and it's heartbreaking because there
mhm.
are a lot of good developers out there, but the market is so crowded.
It is, yeah.
It's so difficult also to be a gaming company. So it's one thing is like to build a game. Another thing is trying to be a company that can build more games and like standardize the process and sell games.
Mhm,
It's very difficult. So
mhm,
when it's as you said, it's a tough industry, and if you work in it and you love to work in it, you have to love gaming.
mhm,
It's not something you go into because wow, there is money in it or there is success. Yes, there
mhm,
could be money, there could be success, but you have to do it because you love games. Otherwise, it's better for you to go for other industries that are more
mhm,
stable, more safe. Like
mhm.
gaming is a roller coaster for like even on a business side.
Yeah.
So it's always evolving, changing, and it's a tough one, but it's also super interesting one. So if you love games, it's amazing to work in games. Even like the roller coaster is cool, and the fact that everything is always changing and always in motion, it's super cool. Like what will happen? Will we be playing in like in streaming or not?
Mhm,
Will the subscription services will be the like next thing? So everything will go on the Game Pass on PlayStation Plus or not?
mhm,
What's the next big thing?
mhm.
What's the
Yeah,
next like the next big genre?
yeah.
Like
It's
it's
always
interesting, but it's
always
also risky.
evolving constantly.
Yeah.
So, on that note, when you're not making games, what games you're currently playing? What takes up your time?
Um. Yeah, that's so. I was in the last few years. I'm playing less and less and less, and that's a
Mm,
shame. But now I found a way to have the time to play. I play with my colleagues actually a lot.
mm,
Like once a week, we find like we have an evening that okay, let's just play together, and we changed a few games. So they are usually online games, and we've played Warzone a little bit. We
mm,
played GTA Online, was very fun. Sea of Thieves was very
mm.
fun playing together, and now we are messing around a little bit with Valorant. Not
Nice.
huge fun
Hmm.
because I'm a Counter Strike fan. I played for 15 years on Counter Strike, and
Oh my
Valorant it's
God.
fine, but I
Hmm.
struggle to adapt. Let's see. But yes, and for me, I play when I play alone, like in the weekends. I love to like just dive into indie games.
Mm.
So recently, I played, for example, Yes Your Grace that I really liked.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Small game, but very well made, very
Mm.
nice. Or Katana Zero, that of
Hmm.
course a
Oh
great
my God, the
success,
soundtrack
super cool.
in
Yeah,
that
like
game is
the
phenomenal.
story, the sound, like it's very cool.
It's
Or Dead
so slick.
Cell,
Hmm. Hmm.
very
Another
very
good one.
nice. And also like yes, car game like motorsport games. So I
Right.
play a lot of Assetto Corsa, or I was using iRacing, but it's a very simulate like subscription games and
Hmm.
simulative, but I don't play it in a while. Yeah, I love different genres, but I would like
Hmm.
for me, for my taste, it would be car games or online shooters.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and then
All right.
random indie games.
Right, of course. Of course. All right, Pietro. That's gonna about bring us to the end of the show. Where can we find more about Hell is Others? Give us all the social media channels, Twitters, Discord. Give us all that stuff. Where can we
Yeah.
find you and the game?
So the of course the best way to find out about Hell is Others is going on Steam. We have a Steam page. It's called Hell is Others, and there you have all the information, and you can wishlist the game if you think something you are interested in. We are very active on Twitter too. The handle is Hell is Others underscore. I think. Let me check it. Otherwise, the marketing guy will kill me. Yes, it's Hell is Others underscore
Hmm.
the handle. And we also have a Discord community, so you can find it on the Steam page or on our Twitter. That it's becoming active and cozy, and
Nice.
it's a nice, small and nice community, and it's the main way to have the possibility to take part on the game test we do. So
All right.
we open up our internal tests every here and there to other players from the community.
That sounds fantastic. Well, thank you, Pietro. That was wonderful. The game sounds amazing, and I can't wait for this early access to come about later this year. So that's Hell is Others, listeners. Thank you, Pietro. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And as always, please be excellent to each other. Unless you come across someone in the street and there's demons around and you want to loot their bodies and go for a murder spree, yeah, you could do that. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. All right, everyone. Take care.